Today on Comicstorian, we explore the many lives of the individual known as Wolverine, starting with one where he saves Xavier. This is the Comicstorian channel where I take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. I basically break them down into a synopsis, cutting out a lot of the additional text, fluff, and artwork so that you can go out to your local comic book store and get the issues to get more context in this incredible art or buy it at a local retailer. All of the alterations that we make to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. The point is to get you caught up in the storyline so you can get the next issue, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy our coverage of the Wolverine crossover event, Lives of Wolverine and Deaths of Wolverine. This is issue 1 of the event as it's just starting, so other than knowing that he is on Krakoa with the rest of the mutants, there's not much else going on that you need to be fully aware of. Now let's get into the first issue of this event as we're going to be covering them pretty close to as they come out. Wolverine looks at his old watch as the sun sets over Krakoa, thinking to himself that this may be broken, but that's why he's using it. A digital clock makes sense. It tells the lie of a single moment that doesn't exist, and it's already gone when you look away. But a proper watch lets you see the possibility of all time. That's the truth that he knows for more than a century of living. Time is sideways, time is forwards, time is backwards, and it's upside down. But that's just time. And then there's a voice asking if he's ready, and Wolverine clenches his hand, looking back at Professor X. Later, at another time, a woman sits on her bed, giving birth as her handmaid tells her that it's going to be okay. Breathe. It's almost time, Mrs. Xavier. Downstairs, Brian Xavier sits by the fire, hearing his wife going through labor, and tells the butler that he needs some fresh air. Yeah, fresh air. As he steps outside onto the balcony, he hears the trimming of bushes and he asks, "Is that Bowers? Why is the gardener here so late?" He calls out, but instead of answering with words, Bowers turns, throwing the trimmers. Before they can land in Brian's head, Wolverine tackles him to the ground, telling him to get inside and grab a gun if he has one. Brian nods, stumbling back into the house, and when Wolverine looks over, he sees Bowers with an Omega stamp on his forehead. The Omega Red possessed gardener climbs onto the ledge, but before Wolverine can attack, a bone tendril whips out, grabbing him by the leg, throwing him to the side. Back inside, the handmaid delivers the first child, but she isn't crying. She isn't even breathing. Back outside, Bowers tells Wolverine that there's no end, just endless beginnings, and he has no way of stopping this. Wolverine pops his bone claws. "Just try me." He charges in, throwing himself at the gardener, but just as he gets ready to cut out his throat, the possession fades and Bauer asks what is happening. Inside, Brian grabs his gun and he runs upstairs to his wife, but when he is called back, the possession has shifted from the gardener to the butler. The butler lifts his gun, but Brian turns in time to see him, and he blasts him with his shotgun. In the master bedroom, the handmaid says that they will mourn for the child later, but Sharon says that her name was going to be Cassandra. The handmaid nods, stating that they will mourn Cassandra later. They need to deliver the second baby. But at that moment, Brian bursts in, locking the door as his wife asks him what is wrong. He tells her not to worry, he'll protect her. The handmaid then says to listen to him. "Don't worry, we have to concentrate on the child." Brian looks out the window as he sees the reflection of someone strangling Sharon, and he turns back shouting to let her go. The possessed handmaid lashes out, grabbing the gun, bashing Brian with it, and goes back to Sharon, but that's when there's a noise. Wolverine breaks through the wall. The handmaid grabs Wolverine by the waist, throwing him into the ceiling, but Wolverine struggles to claw his way towards the possessed. She tells him to go ahead, stab her. She's just a poor innocent bystander after all. Wolverine pauses, and she whips into the wall again, laughing. The old Logan wouldn't hesitate. You aren't even the same man anymore. Krakoa made you weak. Wolverine grabs a chair, breaking it over the woman's head, and retracts one of his claws, slamming his fist into her throat, pinning her to the wall. He yells to get out of her, but the woman tells him to kill her or she'll kill him. That's the only way. But then there's the sound of a gun being loaded. Wolverine looks back and Sharon is standing there holding the second baby, stating that she doesn't know who they are or what kind of monsters they are, but they will get the hell away from her baby. Meanwhile, in the present day in Moscow, The Russian military sits poised around a Krakoan portal when suddenly it begins to stir. Everyone points their guns as Omega Red steps out and he asks, "Is this how you welcome a comrade?" One of the soldiers asks if he is with them, and another says, "No, he's with the mutants." Omega Red grabs the man by the throat, throwing him. "I want to see the one in charge. Where is he?" A voice then calls out that is enough, and everything fades to black. Omega Red looks up and Sage says, "Welcome to Russia. Arkady, welcome home." Back in our tale in the past, Wolverine keeps the handmaid against the wall, turning back stating, "Look, Mrs. Xavier, Sharon, don't." She pulls the trigger, blowing Wolverine away, freeing the handmaid. She lunges forward, grabbing Sharon by the neck, telling her to give her the child and she can live. But Brian throws himself on the handmaid, digging his fingers into her eyes, yelling, "Get away from my family!" As the two fight, the baby screams and Wolverine picks him up, cutting the umbilical cord. The handmaid turns back, carrying the child, and runs at him, and as she dives at him, Wolverine steps aside, and she goes flying out the window. Wolverine looks down at the baby and smiles. "Shh, shh. It's all right, Chuck. I got you." But then there's a shock and everything goes to white with Wolverine blinking, and he finds himself somewhere else. Before he even has a chance to look at the gear he's wearing, Sabretooth tackles into him, telling him, "You're dead, you stupid runt." Except Sabretooth isn't trying to kill him. He's trying to save him from the oncoming fire. Wolverine looks around at the war zone, telling him, I don't remember this." And a voice tells him that he's in Colombia. He looks over to see a shade of Jean Grey telling him that his target is 25 miles north by southwest of here. He has to save Xavier. The clock is ticking. And that is issue 1 of the lives and deaths of Wolverine. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on yet, but I feel like being a Wolverine story, it's gonna be good. The writer for this is writing the current 2021 storyline for Wolverine, the one that came out when the new direction for the X-Men even started. So basically going all the way back to the beginning of Krakoa. This guy has been writing the Wolverine storyline. And I intend on bringing you that storyline right here on the Comicstorian channel. Right now, it's up on our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian. And when I complete it over there, I'm gonna start rolling it out over here on the YouTube channel. But for now, you're gonna get these issues of X of Lives and X of Deaths of Wolverine on a regular basis, pretty much within a couple of days of them coming out. So if you wanna know what's going on with the Wolverine storyline, the big Wolverine-centric thing that they're doing, then go ahead and hit subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on your notifications to know when the next issue is hitting the channel. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you next time, right here.